So today we're going to begin putting our essay together. And as you know, there are three parts to the essay. There's the introduction, there's the body of the essay, and then there's the conclusion of the essay. Today we're going to focus primarily on the introduction. And any introduction really must consider your thesis statement in order to be able to frame a very strong, solid introduction. So we look at the opening of the introduction, and it talks about this is how I introduce my topic. So I must keep in mind, again, what I'm asserting in my thesis statement. In this case, your thesis statement is going to be about the particular theme of emotional truth being more important than factual truth. In some fashion, that's what we are asserting in this essay. So you want to think about, how am I asserting that? And then what does the reader of my essay need to know? What facts does the reader need to know about the Vietnam War, about the story that I'm using to prove this idea, this theme? What does the reader need to know to be able to understand and evaluate my thesis, my assertion and claim? So I look at this and I think about what can I put in that opening sentence of my introduction. I can look at naming the novel itself, the things it carried, perhaps referencing the story. I can think about including the setting, and in this case it could be a setting of a particular story or the war itself, what perhaps the 60s and what is going on in this era of such civil unrest. I can think about the subject, or I can make a statement about one of the main characters in the story. Then I look to transition, and this is going from this introduction of the topic to transitional sentences. And this is that idea of, again, what are the specific elements of the story of the era that my reader needs to know in order to bridge the gap between that first opening sentence and my thesis statement. And then the last part of my introduction is always going to be my thesis statement. And I need to make sure that my thesis statement, as we've already gone over, includes a debatable opinion, a subject, a debatable opinion, and a rationale. So we look to one of our samples is, and we're all very familiar with character, because we studied it both in 9th grade and in the first semester of 10th grade. We look at making a simple statement like, what type of character is Harry Potter? Is he dynamic or static in the Harry Potter series? So I open with the novel Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This frames where I'm getting my evidence from. It is the final two sections, or it's the final two novels, two works in the set by J.K. Rowling, is a coming-of-age story about a boy wizard who has to navigate his way through both the wizard and human muggle world. Notice this is a very general statement and a very quick summation of what this entire series is about. Then I add more detailed information about Harry Potter himself. Harry is a heroic teenager who undergoes a journey where he encounters many struggles that he must overcome. Notice this is not very specific, but it really does introduce the idea of what Harry is doing over the course of the novels, and it does set us up for the fact that he is, my assertion is going to be that he's dynamic, because we know as soon as we see the word journey that this is a character who's going to have to travel and change. So my final statement, my thesis statement, is by the end of the series, Harry is a dynamic character. He transforms from a boy who is insecure about his place in the world to a powerful wizard who fulfills his destiny. So I have a clear introduction of my topic. It's Harry Potter. It's which work in the series I'm going to be exploring. I discuss Harry, I make a statement about who he is. He's a teenager who undergoes a journey. And then the last statement is where my assertion is that he's a dynamic character. And I know he's dynamic because he changes from insecure to powerful, a powerful wizard who fulfills his destiny. We're going to move on now to really think about an angled, a very angled retelling, transition section of an introduction. So we've gone over the